Ready?
ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಊರು ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಬೇಜ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಯಾರೋ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಸರಿ
So can we start? This is going to be a lecture, public lecture, social lecture. Welcome you all back to this hall, the Loyola Hall. This movement is something very memorable and important for me personally, and a few others also. A little bit of 15 seconds of history. May to July 1985, if anyone remembers Bangalore, Mysore, Dharwad, and all. Within a span of 2 months, the government of Karnataka launched a city beautification drive and eviction of more than 200 slums across the state. This is May to July 1985. And most of the groups, civil society groups, and all the socially concerned people were on the street those days. The struggle that followed is very important. And I do remember, I think that Silvio is smiling this date, because we all went there by the urban park. We all stood there, and I must put my hats off to Sani and Anika Saktidev, right? Saktidev or Saktiman, those ones. The group of people who organized, mobilized, and there were hundreds of others also. That was the first organized structured eviction in Karnataka. Before that, some Gundas were involved, as Robert explained. It was not structured, it was kind of sporadic. Somebody used to kind of evict some 10 households, somebody used to do some small settlement and all. But 1985 was the first organized eviction, mass eviction in Bangalore and across the state. The state and people of Karnataka, the civil society in Karnataka, they came up with the situation, they rose to the situation. What happened was there were some protests, street protests. Alongside also there was a public interest litigation filed by KKNSS. Women's Rights was also a petitioner. So Awas was a petitioner. I don't remember. CRIS a petitioner. I don't remember. There were half a dozen people were there the petitioners. I remember, I think, agree, I think that jumping on a flight and then he going to Delhi to get the petition heard by the Supreme Court. Huh? I think that's just good. I think Supreme Court judge, I think P.M. Bhatavadi at that time was there. And he was directed, I think, so there was we learned a lot from that 4 months of struggle. What we learned also later on. What happened was, once the stay order came, the evictions stopped, if you want to call it. Evictions did kind of skip at a decline in numbers. And what followed was a very big debate we had in SAM House. I'm sure that it is some of you may remember, and Kirtee Shah remembered it when I spoke to him. We all discussed, so I something to remember it. We all discussed that all land has gone from Bangalore. Why we have to evict people from Bangalore? That question still persists. Still persists after 41 years. Bangalore has expanded. Bangalore has gone, I observed about 149 villages in the last 10 years or 15 years. And in the rate of Bangalore, still there is no land for government over. Corporates have come up very seriously in the last 40 years. So, today's lecture is, you can say, the few of us here, Kasuru, Babu, Kirtee Shah, we are all here from the 85 band, if you want to call it. We want to reconnect the discussion still happening today. That's the one. I welcome every one of you to this discussion, and I think thank you, Kirtee Shah, coming all the way from Ahmedabad. He arrived last midnight. I was feeling very sorry for him because we travel all the way. So thank you for that, and then we are very much appreciate your gesture. Before I hand it over to the moderator, Professor Vinod Vyas, who has been a co-traveler from 1980s. Yes. He has been with us on all the issues portfolio and fighting. I would like to at least sort of honor a few people who have been with us since 1985 on these issues. Can we welcome to honor and your Ruth Bakri, and Anita is not there. I know Anita's staff was here. Yeah. Ask them to come in here and then. Please. And I would also ask my young Leo to come there. I still remember. He was the one who the car. Remember that? Uh, 1985 also marked a change. This Ashirwad was the place that we had most of the planning meetings. We used to have those days, we had to do a lot of the planning meetings here and all. So Ashirwad also. I would also visit Ruth Monorama Pakistan. Also because to represent the article, the legacy of Arjun. came in 1985, he stayed with us in Bangalore.
Hello, madam. Side, hello, madam. Sir.
Clap for me. ಧನಂಜಯ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬಾ.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Leo. Thank you for it's very important. I'm happy to be associated and to come to the line. Now, I half a minute of introduction by Bharat of Kirtee Shah. Actually, has to file. After that, we will hand it over to Professor Vinod Vyasulu.
Thank you, sir. Kirtee Shah sir ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪರಿಚಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ Kirtee Shah ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಹಿರಿಯ ಭಾರತೀಯ ವಾಸ್ತುಶಿಲ್ಪಿ, ನಗರಾಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ತಜ್ಞ, ವಸತಿ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದಕ ಮತ್ತು ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ವೃತ್ತಿಪರರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ನಗರೀಕರಣ, ನಗರ ಪ್ರದೇಶದ ಬಡತನ, ಕೈಗೆಟುಕುವ ದರದ ವಸತಿ, ಕೊಳಗೇರಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ವಿಪತ್ತು ಪುನರ್ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ, ನಾಗರಿಕ ಸಮಾಜ ಮತ್ತು ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಳ್ಳುವಿಕೆ, ಮಾನವ ವಸಾಹತುಗಳ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ ಸುಮಾರು 5 ದಶಕಗಳ ಅನುಭವವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರ ವೃತ್ತಿಪರ ಜೀವನವು ವಾಸ್ತುಶಿಲ್ಪದ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು, ತಳಮಟ್ಟದ ಕೆಲಸ, ನೀತಿ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದನೆ, ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮತ್ತು ಸಹ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸಂಯೋಜಿಸಿದೆ. ಭಾರತದ ನಗರ ಬಡತನ ಮತ್ತು ವಸತಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಿದಲ್ಲಿ ಶಾ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಪಾತ್ರ ವಹಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು 1980ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ನಗರೀಕರಣ ಆಯೋಗದ ಸದಸ್ಯರಾಗಿದ್ದರು ಮತ್ತು ನಗರ ಬಡತನದ ಕುರಿತು ಅದರ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕಾರಿ ಗುಂಪಿನ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು. ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಶಾ ಅವರು ಭಾರತ ತ್ವರಿತ ನಗರೀಕರಣದಿಂದ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಯಾದ ಸವಾಲುಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ ಹರಿಸಲು ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕುರಿತು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಒಳಗೊಳ್ಳುವ ನಗರಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಸಿವ್ ಸಿಟೀಸ್, ಬಲವಾದ ಪುರಸಭೆ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳು, ಉತ್ತಮ ನಗರ ಆಡಳಿತ, ಕೈಗೆಟುಕುವ ದರದ ವಸತಿ ಮತ್ತು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದಾಯದ ಜನಸಂಖ್ಯೆಯ ಅಗತ್ಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಗಮನ ಹರಿಸಬೇಕೆಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಜಸ್ಟ್ 1 ನಿಮಿಷ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಈ ವೇದಿಕೆ ಆಹ್ವಾನಿಸಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ವಿನಂತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸರ್, ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಚರ್ಚೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ವಿನೋದ್ ವ್ಯಾಸುಲು ಅವರು ನಡೆಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ವಿನಂತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me? It's a pleasure for me to be here to come and listen to Kirtee Shah after some 40 years. I'd like to remind you in connection with the journal called Ahmedabad, which I believe is bringing out once again. It was something quite new. Now, this is an era of hope because it's an era of cockroaches. And Kirtee and I are sort of senior citizen cockroaches. We are both in our second childhood, so it qualifies we are living on cockroaches. And I think it's an important thing to say, because to a large extent, one of the things that the cockroaches have done is taught us that we can speak freely. And I think that is a lesson that we have taught us. We will be failing if we make this. One of those on which we have to speak really is about land. Land is the one resource that is limited. Economics tells us resources are unlimited. Land is limited. Land has multiple uses, very many uses. Without food grown on land, we can't survive. But many people covet that land because the returns that we can get from land, to a large extent, the returns that we get from land are what economists call rent. It's unearned. It's scarce, and because of its scarcity, there are a lot of issues. And the market favors those who have the money to pay for it. To a large extent, we use the current language. The market says that the 1% or the 5% are the ones who decide how to use land. The point is that the 95% also need land they need to survive. This sets up a question. Inequality is at the heart of it. While at the heart of it, there are many other questions specific to land. And I think this is where I've joined. We had some very interesting discussions earlier in the day. One of the things that cheered me up was hearing about the importance of involving local governments in functions. They have to be strengthened, they have to be made real governments, not dismissed as franchise, local bodies, etc. But that is a question for later in the discussion. So I'll now stop and ask you to talk.
This is correct. One of the advantages of being old is that we could ask things, we could ask for a favor. I thought I would stand up and speak. And then realized that the size of my speech is so long that I will get tired. So I requested, and the name is wonderful arrangement, so I can talk to thousands. While they arrange me, let me ask you a question. How prepared you are in terms of listening to me? The reason I'm asking this question is this, that I'm prepared for 90 minutes of this. And I'll explain to you why my presentation is long, not because I'm interested in saying things wrong, but I've structured my presentation in such a way that not only do I talk on the subject of urbanization and cities and land and poor and slums, but also within the process, the whole gamut of 30 years of advocacy with government, with civil society, with private sector. And the reason I want to do it is that if this doesn't work, I think I'll go further. Oh, thank you. No, so please, I think there's a very participatory, just ask me this question. How long are you prepared to stay here? Is 90 minutes too long? No. Is that okay? Okay. No, that's not. There's a reasonable comfort, because I've done fair amount of homework. Let me just say a couple of very important introductory statements. The first is this, that I must thank Shiva to have asked me to come. When he asked me to come, idea was this, that I would come here 21st morning and go back 21st evening. When I planned that trip, I called him immediately, I said, I'm not coming. The reason I told him is this, that the trip from Ahmedabad to Bangalore, coming and going was costing 27,000 rupees. On that day itself, I've spoken to 3 families who on average earning 8,000 rupees a month. I thought something is unethical about spending 27,000 rupees on the plane fare. What revolution I'm going to cause? What are you going to say? So I said, look, I'm not coming. So he said, no, thank you. And then my travel agent gave me an idea. He said, don't go in the morning, come back. Go previous day, come back the next day. I had some other work, so we organized. So instead of 26, I think it's costing something like 19 or 13, 14,000. So thank you very much. But I wanted to make this point, that you cannot spend 26,000 rupees on welfare. Something is inordinately wrong if that kind of money is lost. This is number one. The second thing that I want to confess is my other reason for hesitating to come and not come was whether I could have planned to prepare for it. I didn't want to come and just talk. I wanted to prepare for it. And they knew that I was very busy this last 2 weeks. So I telephoned a colleague of mine saying, could you help me prepare? She didn't say yes. And I said, look, in that case, this is not my presentation. This is our joint presentation. And therefore, the presentation, it didn't work that way exactly. But still, I know what to mention. This is not my presentation. This is a presentation of Kirtee Shah and Rija, who is a colleague of mine, incredibly young. You know, as a American, when I see people like her, my faith in this country reveals. This girl is probably 23, 24, just done planning from SET. Anything I give her, she has never done. She does so well and so fast that I tell myself I could not have done how good as she does. And I think it's very important to state that. That is what our younger generation is. Tremendous ability. If I were predicting my grandson who is 11 years old, teaches me how to use my computer and how to use my phone. So I think we don't have to worry about our future. Essentially, that's tremendously good. I think what you mentioned, that there is a younger generation, brilliant. There is no word. It is prepared to kind of take up things. Certain things which I want to mention, which is the most problematic, which is the fabric of the presentation today. For the last 50 years that I'm public life in this world, I must have written not less than 200, probably more letters to Prime Minister, Chief Minister, to Housing Minister, to Finance Minister, all kinds of things. And those letters are not small. One, this is the Rural Housing Minister, was 38 pages. But I realized that even though I've done it and followed up, and there's a long story, but I'm trying to do that story on today. Because I have written on poverty, on housing, on affordable, on rural development, on slums, a large number of subjects. Everyone followed it up. But I've never put my work in public domain. Except for my computer and my files, hardly anyone knows what I've written. So I decided that I would use today's presentation not to talk about what urbanization is saying about land, what World Bank is saying about cities. I will talk about what I am saying about cities, about slums, about affordable housing, and not in an egocentric sense. In a sense that I personally believe I've spoken people's language whenever I spoke, whenever I wrote. And I'm absolutely no doubt that that was the tone, that was the spirit, that was the ambience within which I wrote. So today, I'm talking about all the subjects, I'm not talking about that alone. But on everything, I'm providing you evidence in terms of what kind of advocacy one has sought, what kind of arrangement one has, what kind of change one has asked for. Please don't ask me
what has changed. That requires another presentation. But just take for me, I will just say today the process that I went through, how I went through, and what did I do. So that's the first. And last point that I want to make is this, that every time you go together, you go to a meeting like this, NGOs are involved, and activists are involved, civil society involved. Tendency is to be negative, to be creative, to be critical of the system. Because I'm old now, 84, I don't look like it, I'm 84. I'm beginning to learn at this stage that it is not black and white. It is not right and wrong. It is gray, something working, something not working. And therefore, in this presentation today, I want to do a balanced presentation in terms of how things are. When I'm talking about housing, I'm talking about cities, I'm talking about poverty, I'm talking about slums. So with that sort of a long introduction, you know what is this? This is the advertisement that came just 5 years ago. This was 100 days celebration of Tamil Nadu Union government. Full page advertisement in Ahmedabad everywhere. But I'm not very unhappy. As a matter of fact, you see, there are 18 points in the work that they achieved in 100 days. But each one is a correct one. We will be very happy to read this. Each one is a very important initiative, very important work for the people. Each 100 days. I did calculation of Urbanisation and found out that 5 years is 1825 days. And therefore, if they continue doing this for 5 years, they would have 18. And if you read this is all a wonderful lesson. And this is not an exception. If you read newspapers, and if you read advertisement, you'll find every third day, every fifth day, every seventh day, there's a full page advertisement from the Pradesh government, from Rajasthan government, from the Modi Shah photograph, Chief Minister photograph, and 20 good things they're doing. So I said, my goodness. This country is doing some enormously good work, and I'm not being skeptical. Newspapers can't advertise wrong things. You probably say correct. There might be problem here and there, but the fact remains. So first thing that I'm telling you is this, that good things are happening. This particular photograph is very deliberate. It's to say, everyone, see this, these are the slums. And I'm going to say, and all the persons who are sitting here are saying, and we need a very now since that come back to that, the slums are solvable. But this is a problem. But this problem is tractable, solvable, manageable, and manageable in our own lifetime, in our own time scale. And the reason I put this photograph is this, and I'm going to jump immediately after that to see other sort of the government. This is Navin Patnaik. And this is an advertisement which appeared 5 years ago. In which he said that land belongs to people and it must go to them. And then he announced a program which has become internationally famous program. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't have any time to go into everything. I'm just pointing it out. Still, I'll come back and say why I'm saying it's a wonderful program. Program done by the government. What was this? This is a city-wide slum improvement program, not for one city, not for one area, but for the entire state of Orissa. And it is not a talk. It is not a promise. It is something which is being delivered and delivered very well. I'll come back and talk about this, but I wanted to mention this. And I'll say this is a good news. My first slide about advertisement of Tamil Nadu government also was a good news. Now, I come to a very interesting 17-point presentation that I made to the government of India. It says date, December 22. This was a letter, 10-page letter, that I wrote to the Minister for Housing and Urban Development. And this was arguing the case of the slum dwellers. And I'm going to put all the 17 arguments that I put in front of the minister. I'll come back and say why is party good and party bad, but let me say what those arguments were. One, and this is a letter to the minister, long letter, but this is how it starts. It says, do not bulldoze, do not evict, and do not shun them as ugly eyesores. I'm talking about slums and slum dwellers. Do not see the residents of slum as criminals or parasites. They are people like you and me, and whether we like to admit or not, they build our cities. This is the first statement to the minister. So there are people like you and me, they are not parasites, they build our cities. Number two, even if we do not see it that way, for a change, we should see it from their angle, from the people's angle, from the slumber's angle. We must see their point of view. It might be our problem, but if the slum is their solution, slum is a solution of the world, not the problem. They are not dirty. They are dirty because they do not have municipal services. Our bungalows costing crores will be equally dirty if the municipal services were decent. And therefore, dirtiness is not their creation, the creation of somewhere else. It is municipalities. And I think we must put the blame where it belongs. It's not people's fault. It is service providers' fault. Fourth, the government cannot build millions of formal houses even if it wishes to do that. This is my pet argument for a long time. Even if you want to, there is no way you will deliver. And therefore, not be to a measure. I'll come back and talk about where the impulse comes from. But the fact is, and I'm not really going to dig into why, but fact remains that even if they wanted, even if they have resources, even if they want to build, you don't need to build this houses. That's fourth. But the poor people, low-income people, are creating in our cities that slums are not perfect solutions. No one can say they are perfect solutions. They are not even solution. In our view, we know about the case and they describe them as problem. But houses they are. Affordable they are. Because if they were not affordable, slum dwellers will not stay there. And therefore, please see them as houses that people live. For the slum dwellers, The location is a social and economic asset. Please remember this if you are working with somewhere else. It is not the house. It is not the service, it's the location. In the name of giving them better houses, if you throw them 20 kilometers away, that is not service, that is a disservice. If you think you provided them houses and serve the poor, you not. It's a great disservice. And I said, remember, all this ridiculous minister at that time was ready to know about that. Ask us somewhere, what is ease of our pride? What is the priority of somewhere? We ask this question. This question has been asked all over the world. The answer is the same. Pakka house is never a priority. Never a priority. And send them a new Pakka house. It is job. It is livelihood. It is income. It is a location. It is water. It is school for the children. It is health. Pakka house comes somewhere 7, 8 in the priority. It is not a priority. And then, of course, what I was talking in Gujarati like this, also a way to carry the quota, the business boxes, the transport is what are the priorities. This is mass housing. Housing by the masses. They are building what they can and afford. We should start our intervention not with what they have, but what they do not have. Houses they have, services they do not have. Please don't start your intervention at the wrong place. But many more houses. Houses they have, but Kacha, smart, usable, so they have, but they don't have the services. Give them services, give them safe drinking water, health, education, other needed services. Create employment. They build these houses on their own and they will improve on their own. They know how to improve. Allow them to improve. Don't say we'll break it. Don't say we'll do it. They will be able to do that. My last point is very interesting. Also give them a secure land tenure. This is the land issue. And I'm not talking separately about land issue and all that. I'm integrating this. I said. Also give them a secure tenure. Property rights to the lands they have built their houses on. Please give the right to poor people on the land they have built their houses on. Even if you do not want to do that, he said, look, don't do that. Do whatever but somehow remove the fear of evictions from their hearts and their minds. This is the biggest problem with slums and poor people living in cities. Their hearts and their minds both are full of fear. Not only mind, heart as well. He said, take care of that fear. Because evictions solve no problem. I'm very proud of this sentence. I go on repeating all the time. Evictions solve no problem. They destroy the poor's meager assets. When you do this, you're destroying their assets. Forced evictions in their jail live misery and suffering for the already suffering. Something already to add to their suffering. They create new orphans for the civil society. It's a hard statement, but it's a correct statement. If you build those, you create new set of orphans for the civil society. The problem is not them. The problem is us. We want our Mumbai to be Shanghai, or Chennai to be Singapore. We need either to give up or shelf for time being that dream, that aspiration, that ambition. let us leave aside for that day. We need to think of better Mumbai, livable Mumbai, inclusive Mumbai, just Mumbai, everybody's Mumbai. Also Chennai. So let's say, give all those big dreams of Chennai and Singapore and Bombay and Shanghai. That is the one which is creating problem. That is the one which is kind of taking our resources from where they should be. That is the one which does not allow to do what we want. And therefore, I'm saying don't give up, but for the time being, share it. This is not an argument against formal housing. And I want to say to a friend, I'm not against formal housing. This is an argument to make the houses formal in the way they have been created, in the way the low income can afford and to spare the resources of the government to invest in improving physical infrastructure, social services, and income augmentation in the nation. Put that money in services, put that money in income, put that money in employment. And this is important. And this is what Shiva will talk about. Trust me. Biggest problem is low trust. Trust. They're wanting to improve their lot. They want to improve their lot. Who want to improve it? They want to improve themselves. Trust their desire to give their children a better deal in life than they got. They want their children to be better than they were. Believe in their aspiration for the social upward mobility, and thus in their judgment and their conclusions, which has made them choose what they have and taken a good risk, some others take a good risk to become or seen as illegal, unauthorized, and encroacher. We call them illegal, we call them encroacher, we call them unauthorized. And some developers take the risk being called that. They are seeking dignity, they are seeking citizenship, and they are seeking future. It's not housing. It's a misunderstanding. They're seeking dignity. They want to be seen as human being, productive human being. So they're seeking dignity, citizenship, and future. I'm not saying it is in a slum. I'm saying it is in removing those conditions that makes a place a slum. Next one. Believe in the ability for hard work. These people are very hard working. Believe in the growth story of this country. This country has grown and grown. We could believe in our story. Growth of its inclusive will percolate down, the growth will percolate down and lift the poor and low income people one day. Their incomes will improve. They will be able to afford tomorrow, but they will not afford today. We don't have to worry about final solution today. There is an interim solution. Talk about interim and allow the space to be. This is not a romanticism. This is a realism. This is not keeping the poor in poverty or dirty homes. What happened there? This is improving their life in an incremental and doable way. This is helping them improve their living conditions and acquire a new social citizenship in a manner that does not threaten the self-created assets, does not threaten the income, doesn't threaten the livelihood, doesn't threaten the social network, and doesn't threaten the location and environment. We at one stroke take all the 7 things that I mentioned here. This is undoubtedly a part solution. This is what you can make. This is not the best solution. This is not the final solution. It is an interim but a workable, affordable, doable solution. a people's solution. A development where people matter. A development where people matter. Development where community plays a role in finding a solution. Development with partnership, where a part of the act is performed by the people proactively and the other part, which is service provision part, the land grant part, is required from the state. It's partnership. People build houses, we build land, we build services, and make it people's partnership. This is inclusive development. Development with a human face. This is a bottom-up perspective on affordable housing. Affordable housing is not great enough. And this is the bottom-up perspective of affordable housing that we have created for people. On city development, on urban development, on inclusive development, and on development that is caring, that is compassionate, that is sensitive, and that is sustainable. Development has to be all that I'm describing. And this is inclusive development that human face and this natural side. And my last point, simple. A development where people matter. Development where community plays a role in finding a solution. Allow people to play a role in finding a solution. Development with partnership, where part of the act is performed by the people proactively, and the other part is done by people. So this is my 17th. This is not article, this is the letter to the minister. And followed up on, I will not go into what happened, but fact is, the saying, it's a good idea, it's a good democracy that they heard from a civil society because they heard from the community. They respected the view I was told. This is very comprehensive, this is very well conceived. That it wasn't an academic, different matter. But others saying it's partly good, partly not so good. I just brought in this particular slide. But I don't know what I'm going to see. I just wanted to say that something was process. I'm now jumping to something else. I'm retired. Is it okay? No. I'm now jumping to something else. I'm now talking about the letter that I wrote to Ratan Tata. And I wrote the letter to Ratan Tata saying, and of course I read it to Azim Premji as well. And I read it all the things in the public domain that he had. To both, I said, this country's urban challenge needs leadership. And that leadership also possibly would come from the private sector. People will be angry with me, but I believe in this, I think it's possible. Let us see how the paper says. And this is, everything I'm saying here is what I wrote in Tata letter, and everything I say is what Tata said. I'm reporting what Tata said. What he says is this. Your reported angst is anger against the builders and the architects for creating vertical slum. Tata wrote saying there's articles that architects and builders are creating vertical slums. This was his language. They're creating vertical slums. You're concerned about the treatment as residue. He said that people are being considered as residue, which could be thrown away, which could be put in the dustbin. He said your support to the Odisha government's program of issuing legal title, I will come to that. I'm not reading that very much. Your concern, this is very important. Your concern that providing affordable form of houses to the slum dwellers and others who are far away from the, this is what he said, far away from the livelihood sources without adequate basic minimum physical services and social amenities and affordable transport. He said, not only near the place of work, not only are thinking of good houses, also affordable transport. He said, don't do this, it is more a punishment than a help service. If you don't provide this, you are not helping people, you are punishing. Your observation that a low-cost house should not automatically mean a low or inferior quality product. All the low-cost housing in this country is by definition poor quality housing. Everywhere. There is no reason why it should be automatically, because it's low cost. There is no reason why it should be. And you see the nature. You don't have to spend good amount of money to do things well. It's a mindset. When you say, do not equate low-income houses with low-quality houses, low-quality product. He said, you're concerned that the small houses they constructed as part of the affordable housing program should be livable. Now, this is the tragedy of this program. I don't say this. As an architect, when I design a house for 12,000 square feet, I don't require as much skill as I design a 300 square feet house. You've got to understand what you do with every inch when I design a house of 12,000 square feet of land. And we also must know that these are the houses in which 3 generations of people will live, not one. This country is 3 generations will live in these houses. And therefore, if you're a good designer, good planner, you should have vision to see 3 generations beyond. House should not be good now. House should be good for the next generation and the next generation. That is where people will use. In that context, what you're saying is this, that is to be livable as human health and well-being needs light, ventilation, open space, and a family's culturalization and value formation happens there. He said, house is not a place to be. He said, house is a place where culture develops, where values develop. And therefore, you can build a smaller house, but you can't build a house that doesn't give values, that doesn't do the right kind of culturalization. That's a larger meaning of house, and that is what it talks about. And the land value capture, I'll come to that, land value capture 70, that creates a high-end housing replacing the informal settlements of the local capacities. He said all this is not accepted. These are Tata's words. And I threw it back then in order to put an argument. I'm not going to that, but later is available. But then I'm saying all this that you say about slums, about housing, about affordability, make you an urban specialist of a very high caliber. Sensitive, with sensitive depth and understanding. It's not only you're a Tata, you're not only interested, you are very high caliber urbanist. A big industrialist with deep social concern you are. One would like you to take this urban expert at accreditation more seriously. This later, as it unfolds, attempts to say why. I'm saying you've got to take your designer responsibility, your architect responsibility, your planner responsibility seriously, and one later talks about that. So, this is the second part. That Odisha government has produced a slum improvement project which world has not seen. And I'm saying it because I know what it is. And I know what happens in it. No one has produced a project like this. If you allow me chance, and if she revives me again, I'll come to my lecture on what is happening in Odisha. And I will give you some glimpses. And I'm saying this is a good news. The government is going. It's not done by NPOs. It's not done by civil society. It is not done by activists. It's done by the government. And then when they guess, not carrying out the last time. It is so good that I, with my organization, have organized 5 webinars titled Slums Are Solvable. The state, the slums are solvable, and I'm saying Odisha shows the way. And who am my partner in doing this? Your Habitat was a partner. It has a responsibility world over to look at slums and housing. Cities Alliance is a partner. Cities Alliance is a UN organization responsible for slums and conditions of slum world over. And then the government of India partner, we have partners of the Odisha government and others. Now, this is a full versions available. I'm not going to that, but I don't have. But I'll just mention quickly what this program achieved, and that is that. These are the achievements of the program in the last 5 years. All 2,919 slums, they surveyed through drone. Each and every, they have information, physical information, social information of each and every slum, not in Bhubaneswar, entire state of Odisha. There are 150 local government civil corporations. And 2,54,000 slum families covered in that. They've given 2,50,000 families house patas. And of course, many others. It's a long story. I want to try to look at what I'm saying. It's a very good program. And then I'm saying government can do it also. Government can do it also. Even if you don't agree, listen to government can do it also. And I'm saying, and they have a mandate and also a responsibility. We can't let them. They will give votes for that purpose. They will put in power for that purpose. They got to do it. Political will and administrative capability can be done. So this is not a message that Joe gives. I'm very clear. Let them say it's not black and white, it was like this. Okay. So this finishes my slum story very quickly. Now let me come to the other story. And it is a very complicated story that needs to be understood because we don't understand. I won't say in the last 10 years that India's urban challenge is more difficult and more complex than world's climate change challenge. It's down the line, it's in front of us, and I explain its dimension. And I'm using this opportunity, this particular audience, to share this very quickly. Now, what are the cities that a lot of people come? Do you know this? That this is the status of our cities. They're highly adequate. Problem with our cities is not poverty as well. Now, I'm jumping. I have 1,000 things to say, but I'm jumping because I'm not trying to go second. Inequality is unbelievable. Doesn't matter if poverty is solvable. Inequality is not. And cities are the worst places to display vulgar form of inequality. I'll show you how. This is a Gujarati thing, you don't understand, but this the message is very interesting. You know what the message is? it says that Musk has so much money that 8,200 billion people could be given 10,000 rupees to live. He has that money. Entire world's population is 8,200 billion. And he has so much money that each one could be given 10,000. That is the kind of wealth. I'm not going into implications. This is my famous photograph. These are two Mumbai's. One is Ambani's Mumbai, and the second is Ambika's Mumbai. Ambani's house cost $1 billion, 9,000 crore rupees, 8,000 crore rupees. And this fascinating slum is probably 500 meters away from it. We've learned to live with this contradiction, this inequality, this integral part of us. We don't shout it out. There's a long story, but fact remains, essentially what I was making was this, that inequality is. This is another fact side. What I'm saying is this. India has three capitals. One is the financial capital, Mumbai. It's the only city in the world probably. The number of people who live in slums is higher than the people who live in normal houses. Only city anywhere. Largest number of slum population. The Philippines and the global one live next to each other. This is financial capital of country, Bombay. That's the political capital Delhi. And it is so polluted that High Court of Delhi was described as concentration camp, this kind of place which essentially is not developed. And third is Varanasi, the religious camp of a Hindu Rashtra, Vrindavan. It is so polluted for the last 30 years, 35 years. We have spiritual ministry and spent billions and billions of rupees to cleaning it up. Question that one is talking about is this: if countries' wealth capital, if countries' political capital, if countries' religious capital is at this stage, how would you have looked after your poor brother and your Kashgar and your small business? Unlike, we are not talking about travel to tier 1 and tier 2, tier 2, 6. This is a symbolic, but I think it's a very important symbol. It describes conditionalities that we have in our cities and rural areas. I like this particular slide, but I'm sure Babu will like it very much. I talked about this in grade 2. And I'm here to say this. Cities we know are engines of economic growth. It's a matter of fact, one discovery that's happened in the last 25, 30 years. Cities are not places to be, not only dormitories. And therefore, the municipal services in terms of water and sanitation and cleaning, cities are engines of growth. 65%, 70% of growth happens in cities. So it's clear now that they not only produce growth, they are also produced by growth. And I'm putting in my own description of what growth is. I'm saying it is not only quality of growth, but the quality of not only quantity of growth that matters. But to examine quality of growth. It's a means by which you achieve growth, whether it is an ecological harmony or in a political manner. How do you achieve growth? Nature of growth. whether exploitative or just, whether creative or destructive. What kind of growth? Texture of growth, whether equitous or imbalance. And substance of growth, whether leading to contentment, durable happiness, and peace of greed, strife, and violence. Growth can do all this. And I'm saying this is quality, means, nature, texture, and substance of growth will determine to a great extent the nature and quality of our cities. Growth and the quality of growth will determine what kind of cities we will have. And this is a very important thing to learn. Okay, come to very quickly this dramatic, and please, let me admit, because my statistics are slightly older. I didn't have time to calculate the new ones. But I'm not worried. Entire country is working in 2000 statistics, 15 years ago. So country can work with this, I could probably do this. But this is a very interesting graph. What it says is this, that in 1971, we had just 109 million people in our city. 1971, 30 years after only 109. In 2010, we had 352 million people in the cities. And in 2030, we would have 575 million, and in 2050, we will have 870 million people living in the city. 870 from 109. And no, this will not change. There is no dispute about it. This will not. So this is how the country's urban population has grown. And this is given interesting graph. This talks about doubling of the urban population. He says the first doubling of the urban population took 43 years, from 1901 to 1944. Took 43 years. Second doubling happened in 26 years. Third doubling is in 20 years. Fourth doubling happened in 17 years. What is it? A doubling is happening when the base is very large. It's a large base, and therefore, when we're talking about 870 million in our cities, in 24 more years, this is not true. You have to understand the nature of urban challenge. And I want to then jump to this incredible statement from United Nations Chapter 2. It says, as we approach the new millennium, this was Chapter 2 that took place in Istanbul. As we approach the new millennium, the world stands at a very difficult crossroads of destiny. And both the bright, it reports both the bright future, bright promise of an unequal future, that it goes well, it would have unequal future, and grave threat of unparalleled disasters. If cities go well, they will create heaven in this world. If they go wrong, it will create heaven. And what it will be will depend on what we do today. And then it says, already more than 600 million people in cities and towns throughout the world are homeless and live in life-threatening situations. Unless a revolution in urban problem solving takes place, this numbering statistic will triple by the time the next century passes its first one. 3 times. And then, this is a global report on the defense act. Let's go ahead. And then that's what I say, early decisive action and a revolutionary approach to problem solving are the prescription to avoid the unparalleled disaster. We have to think about solving our problems in a revolutionary manner. The question is this, the question is this urgency visible anywhere? Is a revolution in urban problem solving in the making? Answer will come back to that. Okay. I like this photograph, this is the photograph of the photograph. But I think I put it probably in. This is an amazing photograph. You know, if you really get good dreams, you get a dream like this. This is the kind of thing. I'm not going into environment, I'm not going to the all that. I'm just taking the photograph. I'm saying, I was part of this and I'm very proud of being part of this. So a civil society group met in Pantone. I don't exactly remember when. Pantone is a small city in Malaysia. It's organized by UNDP. And about 30 people from Asia countries were there. And we were working on a civil society's vision of Asian cities. First came the Panchshila, which said economically productive cities, politically participative cities, environmentally sustainable cities, culturally vibrant cities, and socially just cities. These are the kind of cities we want in India. That's an amazing statement. We used to call it Panchshila of control. And then there were five. Over a period of last 20 years, four, five added. This is technology can be productive. You can't think of it without technology. Ecological sensitivity, you can't really destroy your water bodies and talk about cities. Resilient cities, because and people centered city. And I put this different color because they happen at two different places, two different contexts. But I'm very proud of this statement. I'm very happy. Whenever I talk about cities, I talk about this particular statement. Economically productive, socially just, culturally vibrant, politically participative, and environmentally sustainable. And I think this is what we should aim at. Okay. Are you okay? Another 20, 25 minutes? Okay. And then I decided to go through the analysis. But I will ask 10 questions about our urban future. And I'm sharing this with you. The first question is this. This is something that I talked about. Are we ready to absorb properly, not just theoretically? Are we ready to absorb properly between 200 and 250 million more people who would be in our cities in 25 more years? Unfortunately, in 25 more years, we will have between 200 and 250 million people in our cities. Are we ready for a massive growth in urban population, which is threatening to double in a short period of time? The short period of 25 is not very long time. This is India. Do we have strategies, plans, and procedures to deal with the migration trends which are highly tilted towards big and metropolitan cities? We know very well that all our migration is to Bangalore, to Mumbai, to Chennai, to Pune. Are we looking at the migration trend? Are we doing something with that? Have we thought about role of two and tier cities in the context of rich hierarchy of cities? We have thousands, we have 5,000 tier 2 and tier 3 cities. You could raise the price, we don't have governors, we don't have administrators, we don't have resources. If you're talking about conditions of Bangalore and Chennai, imagine conditions of those cities which are 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. So this is the first question. The first question, are we ready? Second question, are we ready to build? And this is a very interesting statement of fact. In the coming 25 years, more than what we have built in the last 70 years, in form of houses, offices, schools, roads, and bridges, we will be building in the next 25 years more than this country has built in the last 70 years. It's inescapable, it was happening. The climate change has a special connect with the urbanization in the cities. How are we preparing for it? Are we ready for the climate change? The next question is, and this is about poor, and this particular meeting what we talked about. Will the slums in our cities, which pose health hazard at one end and modern dilemma to a country that seems to be a $30 billion economy by 2047, on the other, disappear in the coming decades? This will the slum disappear in the next 10 years? They are between 65 to 100 billion, depending on how you define them and who does the calculation. So the question is, this is another very interesting statistic which I like to tell you. There are several committees, the Ramesh committee, there is Anuvalia committee, there is the World Bank's committees. All of them say that this country needs something like $640 billion to look after its infrastructure deficit. $640 billion over a period of 20 years. You'll be very surprised to hear that one of the best programs that we have in the country in terms of infrastructure development, infrastructure investment with reforms was there in Gujarat. In 10 years, how would you spend 640 billion in 20 years? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the resources? Do we have the people? And this is a question that is to be asked. Job creation is the other question. It's a critical development challenge in the country. Job creation. We have just seen what happened to Zandananda. Million applications for 10,000 jobs is a sign of not only desperation on the ground, but also a shrill whistle of social unrest. If million applications come for 10,000 jobs, you're not talking about employment jobs, you're talking about social, impending social unrest. And where are the jobs going to come from? Who's going to our Muslim villages cannot pay. So the way things are, cities have to pay. Our cities very big. If in 25 years, 250 million more people are going to walk, where do we stand? If we can run, we are going to quantum jump. And when we talk about quantum jumping, when we talk about running, you think about 74% before that. It's now 35 years, and we are still talking about it. It gave us a constitutional strength in the local government. 75 years of done very well. And I'm talking about that in the context of quantum jumping, running like the what you do. And so, other things that I talked about earlier. So, in the present day scenario, is a revolution in urban problem solving visible anywhere? And I'm saying the right answer is not here. I don't think anyone can. Because the city is not only a place, city is also people. And when you're talking about people, you're not talking about infrastructure. You're talking about society, this culture, you're talking about property, which is nature, and you're talking about property, which is people. And all of this we are negating in the manner we ask well. Revolution in urban problem solving is the need of the hour, and in my view, is a good definition of an approach to India's urban challenge. It is time to respond with reason, conviction, and creativity. So this is my 10 questions in terms of, and I'm not going into. Oh, now I come to the land. I said I'll come for land. So, whose city, whose land? This is the question that I asked. What is very important, we tend to forget completely, that land is also God's given gift. It's God's gift, like air, like water, like sky. Nothing is this. God gave us air, God gave us water, God gave us sky. And God is God. Why and how did it become someone's private property? How did it become a fabulous? That's a big thing. It has social, but especially for us. And then more practical, why are builders, politicians, land mafia, and incompetent planning systems allowed to determine future of our cities, future of our people, and future of our children? And this is factually correct. They are the ones who are planning our cities, they are the ones who determine which way development will go. They will determine, you know, that more than 1,000 water bodies have died in Bangalore. That this is a kind of disaster. No one knows, and who causes this? God is it. I don't know if that report is, but this is a closure, and that is happening. Let me come to another very interesting direction, and I thought I'll bring out an example. I live in Ahmedabad in a row house. We bought it about 30 years ago from a friend who lives in America for 3,75,000. This actual value when it was first sold was lakh. Today, that house, not house, the land, a rented house then costs between 5 to 6 crore. Between 5 to 6 crore, something that I bought for 3,75,000. And real value was 1,50,000. And today it's 5 to 6 crore. And I'm saying, is this market or madness? We call this a market. This is how market functions. And we know the kind of distortion that the markets have seen in the context of urban land. I've created more, I'm not only going into that, but I collected statistics on Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai, and kind of land prices. I'm not going into that. But I will certainly go into another statement that I made. I don't know if you know, but Ahmedabad is a very famous, world famous riverfront development, where land had been acquired from river and a very famous riverland has been caught. I have been opposing it from the very beginning, and I've written a series of articles. I've decided that I'm not as opposed as I was 15 years ago, because I've learned it, I do think it has done some good things. I'm not going, well, I'm not talking about the riverfront land, but I'm talking about the land issue of the riverfront. What is it? And this is something in my letter to the Municipal Commissioner on land issue. There were several suggestions. Now let's pick that land and property person. I've been saying for the past many years that not an inch of riverfront land should be sold to private parties, not an inch for private development, and that all of it should remain in the public domain for the larger public good, as it is and should be seen as an unalienable joint property of 5 to 6 million Ahmedabad citizens now and 7 million citizens in the next future. I'm saying it is people's right. It is their property. It's people's property. No one has right to sell an inch. That was the position that I took. I said its special location, its special nature, its special use potential, and its special public purpose make it a unique social asset. Let everyone talks as economic asset. We are talking about land as a social asset, and it is a social asset. With thousands of even unborn and unarrived citizens being the state for law, it must be shielded from potential misuses and protected from any commercial exploitation, either for debt repayment or land value capture for other related. It should not be allowed to sold for any purpose. And that last thing, that land is not a sellable commodity, as in a special kind of a way, it is a heritage part of the heritage city. I don't know Ahmedabad heritage city, that part of the city is heritage city. And I'm very deliberate in using that phrase as heritage for whatever purpose is not a sellable public asset. You can't sell heritage, whatever. And I'm saying this land is heritage. What price you sell it for? It is priceless. All heritage is priceless. The real estate market cannot determine its price, as it is not any other piece of land, but a community value asset. It is a social value. And that is how one looks at. I'm going to stop here. Just one more minute. Thank you very much. We will largely go through all that. As I said, I'm not quoted the urbanologist, I quoted myself. But I'm sure we really need to know my writing are quotable folks and has some enormous potential. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to Shiv and we is one for the society. I wanted to come to Bangalore for a long time. I have spoken in Bangalore several years ago, maybe in a different language or a different subject. I'm very glad that I'm here, and thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirtee. You promised us 90 minutes and I think
It's not an active name.
48.
Or
Come.
it's
10 minutes back.
Oh, I can go again.
No, I'd love to give you questions, but we have people online, isn't it?
Yes.
Are there any who like to ask questions? No. Okay, they're not there then, we can open it here for. How much time do I have? Okay, so let's see the questions come up. Yes, please.
Hello, hi sir.
Give your name.
I'm Rosie Paul.
Mandy, I'm advanced old. And then I don't hear very well. So come here and say. Oh, okay. What is it? Okay, let me see. 2 seconds. Recorded also.
Hello, I'm Rosie Paul. I am an architect. I run my own business here in Bangalore. I'm rather curious to know because we read a lot of the letters you have written to different people. Did you get replies to them? Or are they just letters sent and unanswered? I'm just curious to know how effective these letter writing is, and if that's something the youth of today should start doing to ministers and others.
I'm not sure.
Well, you don't let us give another data. What kind of reply?
Oh, very interesting. First of all, everyone tells me that why do guys set wrong because no one gives them. My logic is very simple. I say I'm not writing so that they read. I'm writing because I have something to say. And if I don't say properly, what communication am I making? So it doesn't matter whether it's 5 pages or 8 pages, so far I'm concerned. Number 2, and I've done this business for the last 40 years, written extensively, all kinds of. And therefore there is not one single type of answer. Sometimes people have responded and said very good ideas. Sometimes people have completely neglected. Sometimes people have phoned and said we don't want to write, but we appreciate what you say. And sometimes there have been some action. So it's a mixed scenario. But a very close friend of mine, I will have about this Dr. Gujarat, Pathak himself, a very planner, looked after Congress planning for a very long time. He wrote to me just 3 weeks ago. He said, I've changed my name now. I call you Karma Yogi. So you do things irrespective of reason. I don't give a damn irrespective if I get asked or not. What is very important for me is to fill very strongly and find ways to articulate. And it's not being selfish. And you must have seen. And one of the conviction that I had, and it will be wrong, that I talk people's language. Now, whatever I write because I feel about it. And I feel very strong. I'm 84 today, and I'm never worried about taking up new initiative. Every Sunday something starts. Because it comes from the values. It's a compulsion. It's something that must be done. And I find most other people are not doing it. Tell me, you heard my full, this 17-point letter on slums to the minister. Who wrote such a letter to the minister any time in this country ever? I'm not praising myself.
I'm saying, that is not the fault. How does a minister know everything? I know that because I've done it for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. He doesn't know. And therefore, I must use this opportunity to tell him that this is what it is with that Prime Minister, with that Minister. Now, if they do not read it, if they do not internalize it, there is nothing to do. So there is no reason for not writing. There is no reason for not taking action. There is no reason why not sharing your views and these are all ideas. If nowhere I'm saying put in money, nowhere I'm saying employer name, nowhere I'm saying I will use my ability. I'm saying do this. This is good for the country. This is good for the people. This is good for the staff. This is good for housing. That is the language of the order.
I think there's another use. 100 years from now, researchers will say we know something about this land because of the letters of this map company. So I think in terms of a record, it serves a value. So to that extent, when you get a reply, it's useful.
But you see, you must understand this. It's an evolutionary process. And in a country like this, man's complexity is very difficult to expect results in outcomes. You got to have patience. You got to believe in things. You got to be optimists. You got to say, no, you can this is important. This is the country will provide you that opportunity. That you could write to the chief minister, you could write to the prime minister, and hopefully you could reach them. And this is a privilege because you create it.
Mine is not a question, but I wanted to appreciate. My throat is bad because yesterday I was talking to 1,000 students in Gujarat. That's why my throat has become so bad. And I wanted to appreciate Mr. Kirtee Shah for what he is. And I think he's writing either letters or papers. I would highly recommend, to these countries, city development planners or architectural colleges, when you do your thesis, you must study history and write the book. I think the historical work and the memories need to be preserved. Many of us, we feel at this time, so much work we have done, we didn't have time to write at all. But Kirtee, in between his work, used to write a lot. Yeah. I think what he has done is, he's spoken the truth to the powers. I think I don't find anything new in his writings, in his presentation. What he has spoken in the year 1985, along with this in Bangalore, I think he has reiterated, he has re-emphasized, what he has said. I think the Karnataka Colgate Nivasila Samyukta Sangatani, Karnataka Slum Dwellers Federation, in 1987, while we were struggling on the streets and the roads with water, facing water bullets, facing a huge police. Police sometimes it was more than the number of people themselves in Bangalore. They thought they thought that we are some group Naxalite groups which came from This capital that you mentioned, Bombay. I don't want to mention the name. So that's the first time. Along with us, he says that I speak the language of people. I think he also spoke the language of the people who are in the forefront. We don't look like that we are in the forefront. We are in the forefront. 2 lakhs people will be standing at us. One bullet shot at people will collapse the whole thing. Because we said, this city of Bangalore belonged to the poor and was built to the city. Yeah? I think all these expressions, finally, Kirtee wrote a letter to the then Chief Minister of Karnataka. That was Mr. Ramakrishna Hegde. Yeah? While we were discussing with him, Kirtee was not there. He has told us that we are making this place, a fish market. I wanted to see Bangalore to be built like Bombay. I laughed. Sir, Bombay? I have not seen any other city in the world. Yeah? He wanted to build. Now that these people are talking about Singapore. Yeah? What else in Singapore will be there thinking? He said that Bombay I wanted to see. I said, my God, Bombay is full of payments. Yeah. I'm saying that whatever the people have said, they are witness to what he said. He has built on it and he wrote such strong letters. He said, hey, slums are not places, slums are peoples. There was a big slogan in 1985. Do you know that? I was looking at the government's documents very recently in the revenue department because I thought it is better that we write of the struggles of the urban land in Bangalore. Urban land. Because all that we spoke this morning, tribal land, rural land, is so much linked to the urban land. Then those people migrated here. Yeah? And what kind of conspiracies that the present government and the past governments did with the poor. Yeah? At that time, he said, slums are not places, they are peoples. Very strong slogan. I think if you write that should be something used that the slums are people. I think it's so important. And humanity denies today people all their rights. It's talking about revolution. I never thought a man coming from, Modi city would be talking about revolution. Is that in this paper? A revolution is needed. That is what the Dimag cockroaches have done. Dimag revolutionaries are done. I think what is necessary is to see the city planners, architects, people who write. And I think we must say very boldly today, that the city is going to be the richest people. There will be a big unrest. There will be a big unrest in Bangalore, in city of Delhi and city of Bombay. And city people, fight on the road. Like the tribals, they will use the arms they really lost. All the city people who are in the slums are the people coming from the Dalit caste. Dalit people. There is a dimension to the slums they are people whose rights have been denied before for several centuries. So let us bring. And there are people coming from the unorganized sector of labor. We have said that 65% of the GDP comes from these people. It must have now increased. All the rights we fought for has been taken away. People have said that they will have sleepless nights already after the present day morning. Lakes have been taken away, water has been taken away. What else they really want, we don't know. I think it's not only a revolution, more revolutionary people need to rise up. That is not only from the activist point of view. You need city planners who are revolutionaries. Yeah? City planners should be, city politicians should be revolutionaries. There is a gang operating now, right now, in Bangalore to absorb all the land. They are already blocked city part of the BDA land in the name of climate change and putting saplings. And they take the money from the people's money and pay for them. What kind of conspiracy? It's not even conspiracy or secret at the lower level. Conspiracy at the open level is taken. You may not even see us after 10 years. All our houses will be, will be under the bridges. One girl came this morning and said, my house is in Indra going to be under the corridors. It's very soon coming to what are you going to do, Ruth is asking. How she's saying in Indra. So I think you don't worry. You have re-inspired us, reinvigorated us. So again, it goes to the, we are all in 70s. Yeah? We are all in 70 now. 35 years we were on the roads. People are now living peacefully. But we do not know when this terrible sword will be on their neck. On people. And the name of projects, different corridors, different projects for development. So people have to say, whose development that they are talking about? I think, I will speak like 18 or 19 minutes. And we are also long speakers because not only we talk from our intellect, we also talk from our emotions and the stand that we take on paper. I want to say some silly story. Like in KPNSS, we have recognized Kirtee and Justice Krishna together like this in one of our big meetings. So we said, you are a people's judge, and we told him you are a people's man. So KPNSS asked me to, again recognize him. They have already recognized much after the great demolition that took place. We told people, go and occupy the same land and you will see we will build it up. And then the same Ramakrishna said, you are taking my Vidana Soga as a fish market, my guy said. We know if you take away one stone from Vidana Soga, the whole Vidana Soga will fall. They said that, our construction workers. So today I am saying that in this meeting, I take the time of all of you and say that there's going to be a real problem for us. The urban land, the rural land. Land is very precious. Land is like diamond and ruby. He may say that it is not commodity. It is a commodity people want to own. We are now saying that a social revolution should come. The land should be in the hands of people. I think that is what we are saying. Thank you so much. I didn't want to speak at all because the Shiva never wanted me to speak. He was pointing out to me to those who do not want to speak in public meetings. Anyway, I took the time. Thank you very much and thank you for coming here and talking to us. And you are strengthened our spirit of fight. I brought the whole women's voice in the weakness to hear from you so that they will be committed to all of you. All of us recommit ourselves fighting for land. When we fight for land, we give the dignity. Our agency is built on just building dignity for people. Thank you.
I have a question, sir. There are two things. in the general. Yeah, hi, I'm Jay. I already mentioned Mr. Kirtee in the afternoon. So one personal question, because I had a different question from his work in the afternoon, but now it's a personal question. I want to understand what is easy, whether it is easy to accommodate the downtrodden or easy to empower the downtrodden and eradicate the downtroddenness. Which is easier?
The architect man, I wait. I'll just do this. The reason I want to say, I am written extensively on the architecture profession discussion. The reason is this: I'm an architect, I'm a dropout. I'm not saying that profession did not serve the purpose for which it was created. And several years ago, there was a launch of lorry data secondary celebration. And I was the keynote speaker. And I used that occasion to talk about what needs to happen to architecture. So two people sit very concerned. And if I have your email address, I will send you the speech. It's worth looking at. The reason is that it's systematically analyzes what are the needs of the society, how to demand, and what is happening to them.
Okay.
Sorry, I think
Yeah, you want me to repeat my question? I said.
Come here.
No problem, sir. See, my question is, what is easy? Accommodating the downtrodden is easy, or empowering the downtrodden and eradicating the downtroddenness is easy.
Well, I don't think this is a question worth answering. The reason is that it is not either or. People, whether they have resources or not, whether they have income or not, they or not, have a right to belong to a place, to a city, to a community. And it's a responsibility of everyone, including the state, to enable them, to have them, to improve their life. And what is important is that people are doing it all the time. The most industrious people, the most hardworking people are the poor people. They are the ones who are sick. Just imagine, this morning I started by saying that I didn't want to come here because it costs 28,000 rupees. That day I met 3 families who were really earning 8,000 rupees a month. And I said, tell me, how do you live? They had 2 children. All of 3 had 2 children. Then I was amazed to hear the story. What I'm trying to say, they are the ones who are helping themselves enormously. They're investing enormously in the life. And they're very unfortunate that they do not get enough. But I'm sure a day has got to come when this has to change. And that is a very important part of change agenda. They earn better, they live better, they contribute better, and they're equally capable. Believe me. I was on a site in Madras a couple of months ago. The whole site was almost empty. The reason was this: that the workers had gone to West Bengal to vote in the election. And those 3 families had not gone. And we're supposed to go, I was talking to them. And I was amazed. They said, we have saved lots of money to go to West Bengal at our own cost to vote in the election. Because they said this is the only thing we have. I don't pay for it. I don't pay for my vote. I don't care, honestly, if I don't get my vote. They go all the way from Chennai to Calcutta to West Bengal. Stay there a month. Losing jobs here, environment here, wages here, and of course, it was in that context when SIR happened and then lost the vote. But it's a different story. The fact is, they invest in everything. Like I gave an example of my own house, what was 375, and we're doing 5 crore. What can I invest? Why should I earn 5 crore rupees? When my investment is 375,000? But if you consider interest, society, let me give you another example. Look, this particular office. This was 2 years ago. I went to Delhi for a meeting. I was very confident, very confident. So a friend of mine after he met me, I said, why do you go on such a day? It's very hot here, it's very hot there. Because it wasn't any other day to go. Because it was that extreme. You know what I told him? I said, I left 5 o'clock for the end. And I came back at 11 o'clock. So it was 18 hours a day. And it was 44 in Delhi and 45, 43 around the world. I experienced it for 4 minutes. 4 out of 17, 18 hours. Because of 4 hours. Air conditioned home, air conditioned car to go to airport, air conditioned airport, air conditioned train. 4 minutes I'm talking about. It's 2 minutes that I took from running down the car and going to Young Baba and coming back. That was the only time I experienced it. I said, for me, there is no heat, there is no 45, there is no 43. For me, everything is 23, 22, and I understand. That's a privilege. And I must not fly. Kind of privileges that were created is unbelievable. How does it affect me? If it's not, it's burning. How does it affect me? If education is bad, I shouldn't go abroad. How does it affect if sons have no toilet? I have 6 toilets in my house. How do I work? If the buses don't work, I have 4 cars. This is privilege last year. In midst of poverty and want that we have. And we are handing over powers to run the system to them.
Also, other questions now.
What is that?
In response to your thing, I don't think anybody can empower it. You empower yourself. It's like nobody gives you power in this action. So basically, empowerment comes from yourself. Anyway, I think I have to end this now. Okay, go ahead.
Kirtee Bhai, you have presented a very scary picture of urbanization. Scary, scary. And you already crossed 10 million population city, Bangalore city. And look at the urban population in India. You presented that you are going to achieve around 500 million living in the cities. And taking from the presentations made in the afternoon and the morning, particularly in the afternoon, Ramesh was presenting a case study about Yemen. How the farmers are struggling to protect their land. One side you see the farmers are protesting to protect the land. On the other side, Devanahalli and surrounding that area because of the airport, it has a high real estate value. It sells like market. Not only Devanahalli surrounding areas, but if you look at even if you go 100 kilometers away from Bangalore, any town surrounded by any land surrounded by small towns also been bought with real estate market. And they're just owning. Whether they're going to use it for productive purpose or not, nobody knows. Just they have money, they're just buying the land, irrespective of if there is a present value or not, present usage or not. That's all. Second thing, when Manjunath was talking, you are saying that the government of India, they have a plan of building airport in each district of this country. My question is, if that is the case, building of airport in each district, will it very help to decongest these cities and towns? Secondly, will it help employment generation? Third, will it really help the poor? And fourth, will it be a real cities, global cities, not cities as we see now?
I think that's a long one we have to have a discussion. Maybe. I think we get to something very special. What Kirtee has done is he's told us the current situation of land and cities as they are today. But the next step also is important. He has shown us what they could be. And I think that double picture of where we are and where we could be is extremely important. I think the takeaway for us when we go away for us from here is to think about how we got here and how we are going to get there. I think these are questions that all of us have to think on. It's not something over there is nonsense. But if we all put our minds together, maybe we have a very productive life. I think on that note, I thank all of you for listening. Thank you, Kirtee, for a scintillating talk and for all the questions and participants. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Kirtee, and also thank you. First of all, I will request you whether I can share the presentation with others. Can give me a copy, then we can share with them. Can I share the copy of the presentation? Please. He sent it to me through the WhatsApp. Thank you for coming all the way. I know that it's kind of a late, much appreciated, and we should keep this dialogue going. After 40 years, after 10 years, after 5 years, after 2 years, we need to start regularly, and there are so many problems coming up. The opportunities are also coming up. So I thank everyone, and I invite you all for the dinner will be taking up now. Go for the dinner, the is running for the dinner. The workshop participants tomorrow morning, 9:30. Start, it goes by 4. Promise. And so thank you very much once again. Thank you for coming on this week. Thank you.
I'm sorry, thank you.
You, my good friend.
Like